caiu o braço aí no fundo. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Come on, guys, wake up. Good morning. Oh, much better. Welcome to this sunny-ish Sunday. So nice to have you guys here. Welcome to those online. I hope you are in a very sunny and hot place, not so today we're going to have our lecture about our friend Teresa, and she's going to talk about the common good. But before we do, our friend Joe is going to do the initial reading and prayer for us.
Good morning. So before we jump into our lecture, we'll do a quick reading from the book Happy Life. We all want to have a happy life. And then a quick prayer, and then we'll jump right into that lecture. So again, Happy Life by Divaldo Pereira Franco, psychographing his spirit, Joana de Angelis. Never tire of loving. It is possible that the response to your love does not arrive immediately. The reactions that it generates may surprise you. It is possible that they may be discouraging. It happens that, unaccustomed as they are to pure feelings, people react with defense mechanisms. If you keep at it, though, you will be able to demonstrate the excellence of this feeling without limits, and will get it back from those you love, receiving the blessing that love is covered with. So, love always. And on that happy ending phrase, with love in our heart, let's pray. Pray to God, our Creator, who allows us to exist and be here together this morning. Pray to Jesus Christ, our Master, our Teacher, who has taught us the path to wisdom and eternal happiness. Let's pray to the spirits that surround us, that protect and guide us in our day-to-day lives, and the workers, both incarnated and discarnated, that make this Spirit's house possible. May the light and love illuminate the speaker of this morning, Teresa, and let's open our hearts to the beautiful messages that we're about to hear. So be it.
All right. It's nice to have you all here today. So we're going to keep going with the studies of the book, Jesus in the Home. That has been the book that we have been studying for the past month. I think that's already our second month that's what we have been talking about. Each lecture has been about one chapter of this book. And today we're going to be talking about chapter 48. That's called The Common Good. Okay. And I really love this book. I don't know how many times I can say this, how I really love this book. And it makes it easy to understand some passages of the gospel, because that's basically what it is. Each chapter, some of them are passages that are in the gospel, but it makes you to understand a little bit easier. And some of them are conversations that there was between Jesus and the apostles that aren't even in the gospels, right? So they're all conversations that they had while they were at Peter's house, because that's where they used to be together, usually at the end of the day, or every time they could have time, at the end of the day, they'll all get together in there, and they'll be talking about different subjects. And usually each chapter is more or less the same, right? The apostles are talking about something, and they argue, or in a good way, and they, confused. And sometimes they'll ask Jesus, hey, can you tell us the story so we can understand this better? And sometimes Jesus is just quiet, listen to them, they're talking this and that. And then he all of a sudden starts to tell them a story, right? Just to explain them, to clarify them what's going on. Okay. So in this chapter here, they're all there, and the apostles are talking about, they're very discouraged, and they're very sad, and because they're talking about all those people that had access to the teachings that God brought to us while he was there, right? And they're actually abusing those teachings for their own good, right? So there is this man who used to talk about used to go to this area where Jesus was all the time preaching, and he was talking about, how Jesus is good. You guys should come and to listen to his preachings. But he was actually not worried about to spread the gospel of Jesus. What he wanted is he opened a little store selling wine, and the more people came, the more wine he would sell it, right? So he's actually trying to profit off Jesus' teachings. He's trying to profit of the fact that there was an area of Jesus always preaching in there, right? So really getting all the knowledge that Jesus was bringing, instead of using them to grow, he was using that to abuse, right? And they're talking about this other man who was actually renting ways for people to get to Jesus. So if you're coming from really far away here, I'll rent you my horse or my donkey or whatever that you need. You need a chariot, take it. And, so that's what he was doing. Same thing. He was profiting off, the fact that all the things that Jesus was doing at that time. And that's what the apostles were arguing at the time, and they were discussing, saying, this is really, what's the point? What's the point of being here? And we going out and we preaching everything that you're teaching us, and look what people are doing with that. They're abusing, they're trying to profit of it. So they're very discouraged at the moment, right? And so they're questioning, like, how can those people have this in their hands, teaching them about this eternal life and not really trying to profit from it spiritually, right? How can, with all this that they're listening, they can still just thinking about the moment, right? Instead of thinking about that's eternal, right? They worry about getting something here right now. Because really, when we think about what's 8 years, 100 years, if we get to 100, which now a few people go to 100, 110. What is that compared to 1,000, 100,000 years, 5 million years, 2 billion years, right? Because we're mortal spirits. It's nothing. It's really a moment, right? But that's what we do a lot of times, right? We worry about here, right now. I need to gather stuff. I need this, I need that. And we forget to get all those teachings and grow spiritually as well, right? And that's what they're questioning, right? How could they miss it? Because they saw all this that as something lost, wasted. That's what they saw. They saw that the whole thing there was being wasted, that whatever Jesus was teaching them was being wasted, right? And even Paul of Tarsus talks about that when he sends a letter to the Philippians. He tells them, for everyone looks out for their own interests, not those of Jesus Christ. So even Paul of Tarsus has spoke about that, right? And he had authority to talk about that because he is someone who literally was completely, once he had the change at the doors of Damascus, he really became this completely selfless person and really lived the teachings of Jesus, which was to work for the others, to really worry about what's the best for the community before what's best for me, right? So Jesus is there quiet, just listening, and then starts to tell them a story. And then he talks a story about this philosopher who was really well versed on the divine laws, right? And he has a student, he has a disciple, right? And the disciples, just like the apostles, is always complaining about other people. Complaining about people like don't listen to the divine laws, how they don't follow, how can they listen to what are you teaching and they don't follow, and talk about people's hypocrisy and selfishness. But he's always complaining. And the philosopher, just like Jesus, just listening. And his disciples are like complaining and complaining. Same way as the apostles, like, this is just a waste. Look how people cannot listen. The divine laws are here and the blessings are here and they don't care. And this philosopher is just listening to, right? And then one day they have this really strong rain, like almost like storm, rain for a while, like really bad. And once the rain was gone and the day, opened up and beautiful, this philosopher decided to invite his disciple to go for a walk. Tell him, let's go for a walk. So they're walking. And after a half mile that they're walking, they see a swamp. Right? They see a swamp. And when they look at the swamp, what the swamp did with all this water that fell from the sky, it turned into this muddy water, like really dirty water, right? Because it fell and it became this dirty water. So we look at that and say, oh, see, this beautiful rain, this pure water that came from the sky, and everything that the swamp was able to do with this was dirty water, right? But the truth is, for the beings that lived in that environment, there was a blast. So for the frogs, the toads, and everyone that was living in that environment, in that swamp environment, that dirty water was actually giving them all the nutrition that they need for them to grow, for them to be able to, to live. And in fact, if the rain hadn't fallen in that swamp, their environment actually would become very toxic for those beings that live in that environment, and they wouldn't be able to survive. So it's very important there. So was the rain wasted in there, just became this dirty water? No, it was actually useful for some beings that was in there, right? And when you look at this symbolic parable here, the symbolic story, when you talk about the swan and the rain coming down, we can question ourselves, right? It is the worth, it's to really shine any light or any love. We're talking about love today on our initial reading, to people who have their hearts so hardened, who doesn't want to listen about anything, doesn't want to listen about love, because they're more worried about their hearts are immersed in hatred, in revenge, and they're really prone to the wrongdoings. They're still so selfish, and the pride, it's what's the strongest in them. Is that worth it for us to go there and try to do something good to them, or try to say, hey, let's talk about here, the teachings of Jesus, because it's a waste. The hearts are closed. They don't care about any of this. It's a waste of time. Why should I, right? But that's just like the rain over the swamp, right? Even then the swamp just made dirty water, but something good came up from it. And that's always the same thing, right? It's always the same thing. No matter how hard people's hearts are, no matter how hard our hearts are, because I was thinking about the others, no matter how much we still carry selfishness, pride, vanity, anything inside of us, it is worth it to come. And God knows that. So he gives the blessings to everybody. We all receiving blessings all the time, right? No matter what. The gains, even if the gain is extremely small, it doesn't matter if the gain is really small, but there is always a gain. Nothing is ever lost. Nothing is ever in vain, right? And so when we're thinking about all the spirits, for example, they're in the umbral, right? In the real low realms, are they just sitting there? Not receiving any blessings because they chose to be, that's the consequence of their wrongdoings? No, absolutely nothing. No. They always receiving the light, even in darkness, right? And there's a book, psychographed by Chico Xavier, by the Spirit of André Luiz, called Life Goes On. And it's funny because I read this book twice. And it's how interesting to read the book twice, because the second time that you read it, always grasp things that you didn't grasp in the first, because the person who read the second time is not the same person that read the first time, right? Because we grow your knowledge and everything. And I remember reading the second time, and I read some things like, how did I miss this the first time that I read this book? Because it was something to me that was so amazing. It was such a proof of God's love and mercy. So in the book, the two spirits, the two main characters, they're the spiritual plan and the discarnated. And the beginning of the book, it takes quite a while for them to realize that they're discarnated. They really think they're in a regular hospital, and it takes a while for them to figure out where they are. And this is an area where it's not also a lot, but it's also a nice area where they receive the spirits and everything. And one of the work that this spiritual city does is to go and rescue people, spirits in the umbral who are ready to come out of it, right? And what is most interesting is because historically, for thousands of years, we're taught there is heaven and hell, right? And heaven's up there, far away, up in the sky. And hell is down there somewhere really far away. And those are two completely disconnected areas, right? Really far away from each other, right? So whoever is here cannot help who's here because not supposed to, because you're going to stay here forever and you're going to stay here forever, right? And what they describe is something completely different. Is that this specific area of the umbral that they give support is surrounded by this spiritual city around it. So they're embraced in. They are not separate. Because even as spirits, we need to be spiritists, we need to be careful. Because we have the impression that, there's the umbral, and no. It's surrounded by love. The umbral is surrounded by light. And when I read this in the books, like, wow. Because even being a spiritist for many, many years, I thought there was this connection. They're like, they leave, they leave No Solar and then they go there to help. No, they don't go there. They are there, embracing, sending them love, sending them light. And from time to time, they go there, right? And they visit. And the spirits that are ready to make that choice, because it has to be a free will, they'll take and they'll rescue. They're always there with them. They don't say, you know what, let's leave them down there. When they're ready, we go there. No, they are there. And in fact, another thing that's absolutely amazing is that we know that Mary, Jesus' mother, until this day, is the person who leads this work in the umbrals, right? To help. So it's the spirits that work under her that actually go to the umbral, because she said, I'll take care. I'll embrace them. A mother, a loving mother that embraces all of them. They don't look at them like, they're waste. It's there. It's there for all of them. It doesn't matter what we do with it. Okay? So it's never wasted. Okay? And this philosopher then keeps walking a little bit. And then he keeps walking with his disciple there. And then they found mud. So basically there was a puddle, right? The rain, and then it became a puddle, and this puddle became mud, right? But from this mud, there was this beautiful flower that grew from it, right? And he was showing this again to this disciple. See, this piece of land here just became a puddle. From the puddle became mud. Yeah, it's mud, right? But look what beautiful flower could grow from this mud. And it's only mud. And this piece of land here, that's the only thing that could do with this rain. Like, wasn't able to do anything, but was able to make mud. And from the mud, something good came, right? Some beauty came. So when we really read this chapter, we can very easily connect this with the parable of the sower, right? And if you remember the parable of the sower, it talks about the farmer that went out and he threw his seeds, right? And some of them fell on the path and the birds came and ate it, because in the path it's too hard, cannot grow seeds. So the birds came and ate the seeds, right? Some of those seeds fell in between the rocks. There's a little bit of soil in there. So the plants start growing. Yeah, it grew a little bit, but then there's not enough soil, there's not enough water in there, and end up drying out and died. But something grew between the rocks, right? Some of them fell among the thorns and weeds, and then it grew as well, but then eventually was suffocated and it died, right? And then some of them fell on the good soil and actually, give it a harvest. They see, 3 times, 60 times what it was planted, right? And isn't that what Jesus is talking about here when he's talking about the story of the philosopher? He's saying, listen, we are going to throw the seeds, but each one is going to receive in a way that is prepared to receive. Some of them are going to be still very hard in their hearts, and they're not going to use the seeds. But in no moment, he said here in the parable of the sower, that the seeds that fell on the path were wasted, because the birds came and ate it, right? So they're used. And the birds need the seeds, the birds need to eat. So are there lost seeds? Because when you read the parable of the sower, we tend to see those seeds are lost seeds they're throwing and wasted. And he didn't say that he was wasted, and they fell in the path and they're wasted. He said they fell in the path and the birds came and ate them. So someone used this, right? Were they lost, wasted? Absolutely not, right? So it's good if someone fell in the path so the birds could eat. It's the same as the rain that fell in the swamp and became a dirty water. So this clean, pure water that fell became dirty water. Wasted? No. Because the spirits, the beings that were there in the environment could eat from it and absorb a little bit of that good water that came from the sky, even mixed with the dirt. But there's some good in there, right? And isn't the flower that was born in the mud kind of those seeds that fell in the rocks, or the seeds that fell in the thorns? They do grow, right? They had this. There's some positive came out of this. It grew. Is that the ideal soil? No, not yet. But is it able to produce already something? Yes, it is able to produce something. So also was not wasted. Even if it produced and isn't that what we do really? I like to believe that we're not the path, but are we kind of the rocks? Sometimes we grow, sometimes it doesn't grow, sometimes, and then we really go in the right path, and then it dries, and then we get another seed, and we grow again, and that's what we do, right? So that's what we are. So what he talks about here is that we are those different types of ground, right? And there's a multitude of type of grounds, right? There's not just the path, the rock, no, it's many, right? And there's seeds that maybe if it falls on me, I'll absorb and you don't, but depending on the type of the seeds will be the opposite. Will fall on me and do nothing, but on someone else's will flourish, right? So it's never lost. It's never wasted, okay? And each one of us will absorb what we prepare to absorb, right? Because that's the other thing too. I cannot expect the path to absorb the seed in the same way that the ground that's prepared, the ground that went through, preparing and putting everything that's needed to receive that seed. I can't. I can be mad at the path and say, hey, come on. You received the seed. Why don't you grow something? It's a path, right? It's the same thing with the swamp. Can I go to someone like, how? How can you do this with this beautiful water that fell from the sky? Like what you do is dirty water? Yeah, but that's the only thing that swamp knows how to do. It doesn't know to do better than that, right? So each one of them, each one of us was the same. We're receiving blessings all the time. Right here, right now. I woke up this morning. That's a blast. Right? We all probably have our breakfast in the morning. That's a blast. And if I didn't have my breakfast in the morning, I will eat it after leaving here. That's a blast. We all have warm clothes to wear, so we can come out in this not so cold weather today. It's nice. But we're still warm, right? That's a blast. We have our families, we have our friends, and I could be here on and on and on and on, right? We can breathe. Some people right now cannot breathe. We can breathe, right? We can see, can hear. Guys, it's thousands. We could do, like, if we really look at our days, there's tons of bless. And we have problems. Yes, that's a bless as well. We have troubles to go through. That's a bless as well. Yeah, because that's what makes us to grow. That's what makes us better people. That's what makes us to know who we really are and what we really need to work on. So that's a bless as well. Because it's very exhausting to bless. Oh, I'm blessed because I can. Yeah, because it's sunny days. Yeah. But we forget that it's to say thank you, God, for all the difficulties that I have. Because that's a bless as well. Right? Probably those are the main blessings, because those are the really makes us to grow. Really makes us to know who we are. I'm really that patient the way I think I am. I'm really resignated the way I think I am. I'm really not selfish the way I am, right? That's my vanity and everything. So that's the difficulties. Becoming every day to absolutely all of us with no different, okay? So that's what gives us the help. That's what gives us the opportunity to grow, to better ourselves, to maybe the next time that I'm receiving the blessings, instead of being the path, now I'm the rock with a little bit of soil in it, right? And that's what it is. But let's also not be mad at the path just because it's a path. That's the best that they can do, right? And that's why Jesus is always teaching to the apostles, right? Remember what the apostles is asked Jesus, but why to us you speak clearly, and then to the others you like speak in parables? And you say, because you guys are ready. And he knew that. Like, you guys are ready to understand what I have to teach you here. And even that, there's a lot of things that apostles didn't understand, like they're right beside him, right? But said they're not ready yet. And you can see when Jesus came and spent 3 years, he didn't impose anything on anyone. You have to, I came here, and I'm like, no, he taught. And he allowed each one to absorb as much as he could absorb, right? So when he's being when he's in the cross and saying, Father, forgive them, so they don't know what they do, he knew. They're not, like, they still need more time. That's ignorance. They don't know what they're doing. He didn't say they're bad people. They just don't know. They're ignorant. They need more time to be able to absorb more of the seeds that I brought, right? He didn't criticize or anything. He knew. Just needed more time. For now, those people there's the path. But one day they're going to become the good soil. They just need more time. They're just still ignorant of what I'm teaching them here, right? And so that was the way that he had to tell to the apostles, don't expect recognition. Don't expect that people will understand you. Don't expect good results all the time. It is not possible, right? It is not possible because we're not all prepared in the same way. Right? We're not all in the same level of moral evolution, right? And each one had its own time. Okay? But that's what happens all the time in our daily lives, right? And sometimes you can have that, especially the kids, right? You see some case of kids who were really, or kids or someone in the family or friend, that no matter how good you do with this kid, no matter kids, they're raising a good family in a sense. I'm not talking about perfect, but family, like Christian family, that really teaches them the values of moral right from the beginning. And it seems that this kid, like, I don't care for any of this that you guys teaching. I think this is all. And they seem like to be averse, or no matter how much you try to teach them this sense of fraternity and love and right, and we keep forgetting sometimes that these kids are just immortal spirits that came with their own baggage, and right, and there is a reasons in the family, but it seems that they're verse, like, it doesn't go anywhere. And then it's like, oh no, this is just a waste of time. No matter what we teach this kid, it's not going anywhere. I don't know, I think they're just bad. Like, no, it's almost a waste of doing it, right? And actually in the book The Messengers, by Chico Xavier, by the Spirit of André Luiz, in chapter 34 to 35, it shows actually something very similar to it, right? André Luiz and the spirits are coming from Nosso Lar to the city of Rio de Janeiro, and they stop in this house, who became a base there, where they stop there, like, to cover their energy, and then they go to do what they're meant to do in the book, right? And this is a very humble house, in outskirts there of Rio de Janeiro, and but with the light, they describe it in the book that there's a light that shines over the whole neighborhood, right? And in this house lives a widow woman with her kids. And she has, I think, 2 or 3 daughters and 1 boy. Okay. And she is a medium, and actually her husband, who passed away, works in the spiritual, from the spiritual plan with her and all the spirits in there to do all the work that has been done. Right? This woman has like a loving heart, like very fraternal, and very really connect with the Jesus teachings. And her daughter is the same way, right? But the son, it's like, yeah, he thinks, we're all poor here. Why we're helping other people? Because we don't have anything. We barely have anything for us. So why we shouldn't have help other people? And no matter what they're talking about, he's saying, I was like, I don't understand what we do. Why we're praying? And actually, it starts with them doing, when they come to the house, exactly when they are doing the gospel at home. Right? So the mother and the daughters and the boy are sitting and doing the gospel at home, right? And so the mother, they read the passage, and they're talking about and love it. And this kid's like, why I'm here? Right? Why should we doing this? And the spirits say that he is actually the mother and the other spirit, the mother, the father who's in the spiritual plan, and the daughters, actually the spirits that come from Nosso Lar. And they're more evolved, the spirits who are there to do the work. And this boy is a spirit that comes from like lower realms to actually be able to be, put in that environment of loving and fraternity to help this spirit to grow, right? When you read the story, it almost feel like, yeah, but you put in there, but he's not absorbing anything. So this is like a waste. This kid's not absorbing anything. Like, he's avert to everything that they're teaching, right? It's true. Yeah, it's true. In that moment, it's true. The story is not about this family, so we know what happened when this kid grows up or anything, okay? But we have 2 things here, right? He could, as he grows, things can happen, and eventually all these teachings that it seems to do not be working, it can touch his heart, and he can become a better spirit, because he was put in an environment that people say like, oh, let's stop teaching him because it's a waste, right? This mother will never, a woman like this will never stop loving this kid and will never stop trying to guide him to the good path. But we all have free will, right? He can eventually understand, okay, now I know this is the path. No, he can grow up and say, what, I'm out of here. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to make a lot of money. And I even don't want to talk about you guys because, and we see this at sometimes, right? I become very rich. And I'm even ashamed to say that I have a poor family. And I really forget my family. Or, we can even say, I want an easy money and could go to a criminal life. I remember many years ago seeing this interview in Brazil with the guy who was the at the time, was the head of one of the main narco traffic group in Brazil. And he said, my parents were evangelic. They're very like prone. Like I grew up in a Christian house, and my parents did everything to teach me the good path, and I just was not interested. And he knew. I said, and I know that's the right path. I'm just not interested. Free will. And he was born. He was put. That spirit was put on a Christian house. Can't choose. No. Was that a waste of time? Then what? Put the spirit on a Christian house. Like what's? No, it's never a waste of time. It is never a waste of time. Because love is never waste. Never goes wasted. Okay, never. Simple like that. Yeah, he may not use it on this incarnation, but all those teachings eventually going to be there, right? There is a verb that doesn't exist in any language. That's to unlisten. There's no such a thing. You cannot unlisten. You can forget. I can tell you something, you listen and you forget. But unlisten, you cannot go there and take it out, right? There's no such a thing, right? So it's there. The seeds are there. So it's never a waste. And I can guarantee you that this mother in the story is going to keep loving him as long as she needs it. And even after she discarnated, and if he deviate from the path, she's going to be there trying to put him in the path, right? Like in the book Liberation, when you see a mother for 300 years in the spiritual plan trying to rescue the son from the dark areas of the umbral. 300 years, and she's there, and just send her love. Send her love. Send her love. It's a waste of time? No. 300, 400, 500 doesn't matter. Love will always transform. Always. Right? So it's never a waste. Okay? But then there is a path from Matthew 7, items 1 to 6. And it starts like this. Do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the way you judge others, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be used to measure you. Okay? And then he talks about, how can you see, a speck on someone's eyes, but you don't see the plank in your eyes. But then he ends like this. Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs. If you do, they may trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces. So that's actually a passage from the gospel that a lot of times is taken in a wrong way, especially this end in here, right? Do not throw pearls. And we use this phrase a lot, especially with, don't throw the pearls to the pigs. Like, don't waste your time. You're giving something good to someone bad, that's a waste of time, right? That's how a lot of times it's interpreted, and that's wrong. That's not what Jesus is saying here. Right? Because he didn't say here, don't abandon them. What he's saying here, and then, because otherwise he wouldn't start what he says, don't judge others. Because what I'm saying, okay, I'm not going to do anything good for you because you don't deserve, I'm already judging you. Right? So to understand that do not throw your pearls to pigs is like, don't help people if they don't deserve, because they're not good enough to be helped. It would be contradictory with do not judge how they started. Right? What he's trying to say is try to respect the level of people, of how much they can absorb. Okay. I cannot take a 6-year-old kid and let's get here. We have the kids class, right? I get the kids there and get the same content. Like, kids, come here. Let's this lecture, and you have to get it. What I'm saying, this lecture here. Okay, cannot do this. Oh, don't worry. We're gonna do a study of the novel. Let's get the Spirit's book. And get the 6-year-olds like going to start the spirit question. Like, come on, we can't. And they say, see, we taught them the Spirit's book and they didn't get anything. Yeah, of course. They're not ready. How about you start with something a bit more simple, right? What's God? Simple, complex. Love. How do you know? Just concepts. And even talk about directly about the laws, but like, hey, no, it's nice if you help your colleagues at school. How do you help? So trying to bring these concepts of love, of charity, of being, help each other. That's how you started, right? So that's what he's saying here. Once they don't throw pearls to pigs, like, don't try to come with all your full knowledge and want them to because they're not prepared. That's the only thing that he's saying. And it's okay if they're not prepared. Don't judge them for not prepared. Because if you start to judge them like the apostles were doing, or like the disciple of the philosopher saying, look at these people, look at the hypocrisy, look at this, look at that. Like, you're just judging them, you're not helping them. That doesn't help, right? What they need to actually understand better, what can we do to help them to get a little bit better? Because keep criticizing is not helping, right? And yes, they still deserve as well the blessings. They still deserve to be helped, right? But in a way that's to their level of knowledge, in the level that what they can absorb, okay? Because we have to remember that all our brothers and sisters, no matter which level they are, the worst person that you can ever think, like the serial killer sitting there at a jail, we are all brothers and sisters. We all God's creation. All of us are God's creation. All of us. It doesn't matter who's the lowest spirit in the umbral. He is a God's creation. And he's never going to be forgotten. And you're always going to receive the blessings. Always. Always. And that's why Jesus made very clear, not a single sheep from my father's herd is going to be lost. All of us. We're always going to be. And we have no clue in each state we were 2, 3, 5,000 years ago. Maybe it could be that super low spirit there in the umbral. And because someone went there and lent us a hand in the way that we needed, we can be here today, right? And that's why the sun, when it comes on in the morning, shines for everybody. The good, the bad, for everybody. It doesn't make curves. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't illuminate you, so I'm going to curve. No, it doesn't. It spreads the light equally to everybody. Okay, but then each one will absorb it in the way that we prepared. Some of us can complain, it's too hot, it's too sunny. Some of us are like, oh, beautiful day, sunny day. Same thing with the rain. Someone's like, it's a raining day. I'm gonna go out. And so it's like, oh, it's beautiful, it's raining. So now my garden's gonna get all the water that's needed. The flower is gonna flourish. It's up to each one of us to do. But we all receive blessings every day, regardless. It doesn't matter. We all receive blessings every day. Right? And it comes in all the material things that we have access. Our family, the difficult family member that we have, it's a blast. The difficult co-worker that we have at work, it's a blast. Because they're the ones who, test us, all of it. Right? The sun shines to all of us all the time, with no exceptions, because we all creations of God, and no good will ever be wasted. Okay. And why we still, although we have all these blessings and we have all this knowledge here, all here in the Spiritist group, and we still kind of fail? It's because we all still have selfishness and pride in our essence. And it's okay, because we also have the good inside of us. We already have some flowers come up, right? Are we the perfect soil? Not yet, right? But can we already absorb some of those teachings and do good with that? Yes, we can. We all can, right? And then eventually we're going to get to the peach tree, because that's what it is. This philosopher keeps walking with his disciple, and he gets to this beautiful peach tree that's in flowers. And when the rain fell on this peach tree, the drops of the rain stayed in the flowers like pure crystal. So the way that the rain fell, it's captured by the flowers, like pure in this. And what this peach tree would do would absorb all this water and give like beautiful fruits to help everybody around them, right? So one day, and that is our final goal, right? This is our final goal, is to become this peach tree that this philosopher shows to his disciple, to become this soil or this tree that receives the blessings from God and absorbs them 100%, right? And everything that we absorb, we give it back, right? All the blessings that we did receive, we give back to the ones around us, right? It's what also in André Luiz books, they talk about, Missionaries of Light talks about the completee, right? Which is very, very rare that to heaven, right? And the completees that they call is the people who reincarnated with the mission and they fulfill the incarnation 100%, right? I'm to the point, if I get 10%, I'll be happy. When I come back, like, oh, let me see. Oh, yeah, well, you got 10%. It's like, really? Wow. Right? So it's very rare. And it's okay. Because if fulfilling part of it means we are absorbing part of these blessings, we understand we're producing something good. We're getting better. I always remember that right now, here, right now, all of us is the best version that we ever had in. Okay. That's our best version right now. Right? And then we're going to get better a little bit more and a little bit more until the day that we're going to be the soil that will absorb all the seeds, and every single one of the seeds that will be given to us will flourish 2, 3, 4, 10 times more than the seed. Okay. And then I just want to read then a final paragraph from this book, because then when Jesus finishes this parable, then as always in the book, all the apostles are quiet because they got it. They got the information. They realized, oh yeah. So they realized that it's always a lesson to the apostles. It's really funny because in India it's like, oh, okay, we understand what we need to change. It's not like, oh, we now understood that we need to forgive the odds. And now it's like, oh, now we understood what we. So they're always quiet because the lessons. And that's what I love about this, because it makes so clear with the stories that Jesus talks in the book, because it's very easy to understand the lesson that he's trying to pass. So it's so clear that then the apostle like, oh, got it, nothing else to say, right? And Jesus finishes like this: never criticize the fountainhead of heavenly aid. Each person receives a measure of it on the plane on which they live. So each one's going to receive and be able to absorb whatever they can, right? In harboring its sublime principles, the criminal becomes less cruel. The worst appears less bad. The imperfect improves. The unfortunate person finds relief in the good ones, and the good ones improve to better carry out the service of our Father. So if you possess enough understanding to discern reality, don't waste your time on empty rebuke. Learn from the Supreme Lord, who constantly helps in accordance with each person's spiritual understanding and need. Distribute to all those around you the gifts of heaven that you have already faithfully retained, and heaven will open up endless treasures to you. So that's what he's saying here. Oh, but but the criminal's still criminal. Yeah, but he's less cruel now. Because now there's a little seed in there, right? The person who was bad, maybe it's a bit less bad now. Nobody's going to transform, from water to wine like this. Doesn't exist that, right? And we're talking about us here. Nobody is changing overnight, right? But we all change a little bit. So no love, no good deed will ever be wasted. And yes, we should extend them to all of them, right? So instead of a rebuke, like it says here, let's understand that they are just not prepared yet, but they will. But for them to be prepared, for all of us here to be prepared for the next seed, we need to help each other. We should never give up loving. We should never give up helping each other, because then this world is going to be a very hard one to live. And yes, right now there's a lot of bad things happening in the world, but remember that's our own choices, and we have to live with the reactions from our actions. But even the bad that we're creating, it's what's going to make us change. So even though right now on this road we're taking that rain and becoming, on a dirty water, because if you look at what's happening in this planet right now, this is what's going to make us grow. Because this is going to hurt so much as it is hurting already, that we're going to say stop it. We don't want this anymore. Right? So nothing is wasted. So not even all the bad that have been created in this world is going to be wasted, because those all become lessons for us to grow and to wish for a better world, to wish for a place that with more fraternity, with more love. Because this is going to teach us that is the best path. Okay. So that's everything that I had to bring to you guys today. And I hope it help us all to grow a little bit more, and especially I speak for myself, to really learn to extend the good, even especially the ones that we don't like much, but they also deserve our love and they deserve our care. Any questions? Okay. Any questions, anything from the internet or any comments? No? Okay.
Thank you, Te. Thank you, those who join us online. I hope you guys have a lovely week. And for those here, we're going to get